What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be reacting to some YouTube shorts and whatever about people hating on the carnivore diet. Let's get into it.
The carnivore diet eliminates all foods except meat and animal products. Every single day, I get questioned about my vitamin B12 intake.
I'm assuming he's vegan since he's being asked about B12, and he says B12 intake. Brother, if you're vegan, there is no B12 intake. There is no B12 in plant foods. So there's no intake. He's getting it through some kind of either pill or injection or whatever. There's no actual B12 intake in his diet.
Well, carnivore diet people, how are you getting vitamin C, folate, or fiber?
Vitamin C and folate, you can find them. Vitamin C is in meat. Just because they say it's zero doesn't mean it's not zero. Folate you can get in organs, but you still don't even have to eat organs. And fiber's not an essential nutrient. So why would I need fiber? Why do I even want fiber? Fiber is literally not digestible for the human body. So what do you mean, how do you get fiber? The question should be, why should I get fiber?
Honestly, how do you even poop? Did you
Perfectly fine, honestly.
know, according to pretty much
Actually, better than I used to. I don't want to go into too much detail, but the poops have been better.
all science, if you don't eat fiber, that's going to lead to constipation, IBS, heart disease, and cancer, bowel.
Okay, all the whatever Seventh-day Adventist funded epidemiological studies or whatever that show people who eat more fiber have better health outcomes because of healthy user bias. Those kinds of studies, I don't care about those studies. The only randomized controlled trial done on this topic ever, to my knowledge, showed that fiber actually had worsening effects on pretty much all kinds of bowel and digestive issues. So I'm gonna go with that, plus my own personal experience of feeling a lot better, even digestively, when I don't eat a bunch of plant material.
Cancer being the leading cancer there. Not fun, let alone eating
Just speculation, really.
only animal products is potentially bad for your gut microbiome.
According to who?
Increases the risk of colon cancer and promotes gout and kidney stones.
A lot of carnivores, I haven't seen an epidemic of them getting kidney stones or colon cancers or whatever, so I don't know.
And even the creator of the carnivore diet himself has stated that he simply does not have the data to back the long-term effects of the diet on your.
Now, I don't know who he's talking about, the creator of the carnivore diet. I don't know who that is. But sure, okay, yeah, we don't have long-term data. That's true. That's true for pretty much any diet. Nobody's done a proper experiment on diets and whatever like this, proper randomized control trials to show long-term effects. That's just simply, I don't even think these kinds of studies or whatever would pass ethics. So no, it hasn't been done for carnivore, and really it hasn't been done for any other diet.
Your health. And he has said his social media presence is, quote, for entertainment purposes only. I don't know.
Doesn't pretty much everybody who gives advice on the internet say that it's not? People in the health space will say, oh, it's not actually medical advice. People in the finances space will say, oh, this is not actually financial advice. Everybody gives that disclaimer. It's not a huge deal.
I don't know about you, but I don't want to back my health and pretty much my entire identity on someone else's entertainment purposes only. The carnivore.
Whatever. It's not an argument. Anyways, let's move on.
The carnivore diet is actually so dangerous for you. It's going to clog your arteries, give you heart attacks.
Yeah, because it will.
According to this guy.
Don't just take my word for it. Here's some of the things that Carnivore MD said he experienced while eating only meat.
Muscle cramp.
So he's going to show Paul Saladino here, and I'm sure, as a lot of carnivores know, most likely Paul Saladino's issue was either one of two things: eating far too many organs, or just electrolyte issues, and those might have been intertwined or whatever. And this just goes in general. Just because someone on carnivore got off carnivore and had issues doesn't mean necessarily that carnivore was the problem. They could have been doing certain other things wrong in their life that caused whatever issues they said were caused by carnivore. It's not I get where they're coming from to an extent, but it's not like a closed case closed, deal done kind of thing. And many carnivore people have pointed out why Paul Saladino had issues.
Heart palpitations, which is when your heart flutters, trouble sleeping. Notice my testosterone was dropping.
I mean,
sounds like a lot of electrolyte issue related stuff.
just saying. But go on.
I get comments and DMs every single day from dietitians, nutritionists, people with master's degrees in health and nutrition and whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, you know, what, spending 10 plus years getting your master's in nutrition or whatever makes you feel like you can tell me about nutrition?
Appeal to authority and again, what this guy is just basically being ignorant to is the fact that it doesn't matter. They could have studied for 5 minutes, or they could have studied for 10 years or 25 years or whatever. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what they studied or how much they studied if it's just industry funded crap. It's not actually based off evidence and stuff. Like, again, it's really just an appeal to authority fallacy, just because people in the nutritionist space and whatever space agree with this. Well, people tend to agree with whoever taught them or whoever was basically funding them.
And you can follow along to see if I will drop dead of a heart attack or eventually gain 100 pounds.
I mean, when you're young, you can basically get away with anything.
It's not true. We're seeing a lot of young people get a lot of diseases and stuff that we thought was for like people in like later age and stuff. These days, isn't it like, don't we even have like some kids getting like fatty liver and stuff like that? There's so many sort of like diseases and issues that people are facing at younger and younger ages. People used to think they were for later in age, but no, those kind of ages are like creeping lower and lower. So no, you can't just do whatever when you're young. When you're young, it still matters. And he's trying to use the excuse of, oh, you can be on carnivore, and basically, essentially, he's trying to say damage your health. Oh, but it's okay because you're young. Sorry, but we just know again that that's not how it works. And just to completely crush his argument, these same people, right? Like I think this is Steak and Butter gal, that's her name or whatever, right? Let's say she's like 30 right now, right? So okay, she's still relatively young. But 5 years ago, when she was a vegan and she wasn't on the carnivore diet, her health was worse, even though she was younger. So what is it? Again, doesn't make sense.
Go to any college campus and you will see that. But that doesn't mean that we should take your terrible advice.
Again, not necessarily true. You can go to a bunch of college campuses and see people who are overweight and have issues. I went to college myself. I had friends who had certain health issues. It's not like just because they were young, they were invincible. Certain health issues that I'm pretty sure, and I did recommend some of them, like I'm sure a lot of them didn't listen to me, but a carnivore diet definitely would have helped with, because I've read tons of anecdotes on the internet about people being helped with those same issues.
Cheers to carnivore.
Yikes.
Who cares? All right, now we're going to go to Mr. Mike here.
I started back on the carnivore diet. Like, one of the first things that I noticed, like almost immediately, my energy levels are completely flat throughout the day. There's no crashes.
Wow.
There's no peaks and valleys.
Yeah. The good thing is the carnivore diet can keep your energy levels relatively stable. The bad thing is the carnivore diet, how do I put this? Carbohydrates are the undisputed forever king of performance nutrition.
Based on who? Based on these studies that took basically people who weren't even fat adapted, put them on a basically no carb, so like, you know, like keto kind of diet for like 2 weeks or something, and made them do all these physical things and they weren't able to keep up. Yeah, okay, that doesn't surprise me. It takes a little bit of time to get fat adapted and start performing at your best. Because the thing is, whenever you make a big change with your body, right? Even if it's towards the better, your body still needs a little bit of time to adapt. So these studies in the past, whatever, that didn't take into account like the adaptation phase, you know, just put people on a keto diet basically for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something, and then tested their performance. Then yeah, sure, obviously they're not matching up to like super duper high skilled athletes who have all their life been eating carbs. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Again, it's not actually like, what would you say? It's not like a fair like apples to apples comparison.
Try to eat regular meals, 4 meals a day, for example. Have plenty of protein, plenty of healthy fat, because healthy fats, actually all fats, slow down the digestion and absorption of everything else, including the proteins and carbs. And make sure your carbs are relatively low glycemic, veggies, fruits, and whole grains. And not a ton of them in every...
I don't even think, like, can't some of the fruits be pretty decently high glycemic index? Anyways.
Every single meal, not like 900 grams of carbs in one meal or some shit, like tons of pasta, put you on your ass. Just a moderate amount of carbohydrate, 50, 75 grams per meal 4 times a day, if you're like an adult-sized male or whatever. You try that, and all of a sudden, you can get a higher level of daily energy, and it's still really, really consistent.
So I'm a bit confused here, because this clip started with Joe Rogan saying that he feels his energy levels are way more stable, okay? And then, for some reason, Mr. Mike here starts talking about apparently if you eat carbs, they're going to be even more stable somehow, but he's already saying they're stable. I'm just confused with that, but even forget Mr. Mike's nonsense of like him not being able to sort of like even refute what Joe Rogan is saying. His point is just straight up wrong. We know that when you eat a bunch of carbs. Like he said, 50 to 75 grams of carbs per meal, 4 meals a day. So 75 times 4, what is that? Quick, like 300 grams. Okay, let's say you're having 300 grams of carbs a day. When you're eating that many carbs, right? Like your blood glucose levels are gonna be freaking flying to the roof and then crashing down to the ground every like 3 to 4 hours after every meal. So no, your energy is not going to be stable. I don't know where he's coming from, where he's getting that from. Sorry. And yeah, with 300 grams a day, you're probably going to get pretty fat as well. So again, I don't know why Mr. Mike would recommend that here. I mean, I kind of know why. Mr. Mike doesn't really know anything. He's not really a doctor, right? I don't appeal to authority. I'm just throwing in that joke there. But yeah, anyways, let's go on to the next video. The last video here is from Mr. Lane Norton. So
people might do a carnivore diet, lose 30, 40 pounds, their blood glucose regulation gets better, their HDL gets better, but their LDL goes through the roof.
So he says a bunch of things about, like, what do you say? They lose 30, 40 pounds, blood glucose regulation gets better, all stuff that like pretty much everybody can agree is good. And then in the end, he's like, oh, but their LDL goes up.
See this in the carnivore community. There's people like bragging about having LDL levels of 3, 4, 500 milligrams per deciliter. And it's like, this is going to get people killed.
According to who?
These Mendelian randomization studies, I mean, when they came out, you look at the lifetime exposure to you can draw a straight line through it. I mean, you can literally draw a straight line through amount of LDL exposure throughout the course of someone's life and the risk for heart disease.
I don't know this specific study that he's showing, but I'm like 99% certain that it's probably an epidemiological study, which again is just like basically trying to infer causation based on correlations, which is already junk science. So I don't really care what this says, because I know that in the past, back in like the 60s, what was it? Yeah, 60s and 70s, late 60s, early 70s, there were 2 very solid randomized control trials done on this topic. Stuff that probably wouldn't pass ethics today. But these tests had, I think there was like the Minnesota coronary survey or whatever they call it. There was like 9,200 participants across different like mental hospitals and nursing homes in Minnesota. Average, I think, time of like observance for the people was like 5 years. They were institutionalized. We could, or the people, not we, obviously, but could control for like basically everything they were eating to like pretty much like the best extent. Like this was pretty much the most comprehensively done study on this topic. Okay, they fed one group saturated fats and they fed another group unsaturated fats. And what did the results show? The results showed that yes, the group who was fed the unsaturated fats, the supposedly healthy unsaturated fats, yeah, they did lower their cholesterol and whatever, but they died more. So what do you care about, lowering your cholesterol or living longer? I think you care more about living longer. So this guy's whole point about LDL apparently getting people killed, well, like the randomized control trials done on this very topic showed that it was actually a decrease in LDL really that was getting them killed, because the people in the saturated fat group, yeah, they didn't have like decreased LDL, but they lived longer. So again, what do you care more about? Just the fact that Mr. Lane Norton here still thinks that cholesterol is bad for you in 2025 just shows how, frankly, like clueless he is.
And they go, but I'm so much healthier now. One, you don't feel heart disease until it's knocking on your door.
So not really an argument. Like he's just like, okay, well, it hasn't happened yet.
And 2, you may, on balance, overall, yes, be healthier than you were before, but you are not as healthy as if you'd gotten all those benefits and also not raised your LDL.
So basically his entire point is based upon the false premise that LDL is bad for you, that raising LDL is going to be dangerous for you and cause heart disease. I already talked about like 2 minutes ago that there are studies that show that that's not the case. So I'm not going to get into it too much, but basically, like, all I can say is Mr. Lane Norton's entire argument is based upon something that's not even true. So why would you listen to anything this guy has to say? And I've just told you that I've showed you that is wrong, right? And that was the only thing he could say basically against the carnivore diet, and everything else he himself mentioned were only positives, were only benefits. So again, really it's up to you to decide. what do you think is the better diet, and who do you want to listen to? Do you want to listen to Mr. Lane Norton here, who's probably going to tell you to eat a bunch of seed oils and guzzle down a bunch of carbs, or do you want to, listen to some other people who have looked into a lot more of like the legitimate science and say that, hey, we shouldn't be eating seed oils, and hey, we should probably be limiting the amount of carbs we eat, if not taking them completely to zero and eating a lot more red meat? I don't know. I'm gonna favor the true science, not the cult science, and go with the latter. Anyways, that pretty much wraps up this video. Thanks for watching, and if you found it interesting or informative in any way, please consider subscribing to the channel. Anyways, bye.